Hello everyone, my name is Mie Bakuya and you are watching the Hebron Hawkeye series, Life of a Band Kid. In this series, I mainly just talk about the things that I've experienced while being in the Hebron Band. So if I look or sound like a corpse today, it's probably because I am one right now. I just got back from San Antonio, which means I came to school around 3 a.m., I slept for like 2 hours, and then I'm now back at school. So if you're wondering why I'm a little bit nasally or a little bit dead, it's just because, band San Antonio stuff. If you haven't seen the title of today's video, I will be talking about going to state and the San Antonio trip. So the trip started on the 28th of November. That was where we got our luggage and all of our stuff set on the buses, and mainly we were just riding the bus for about 6 hours. So something I want to mention is that every year people are put for certain rules. Since everyone in band is going to these events, we're going to need extra help. And so the last 2 years, I was always put on loading crew, which basically means I had to carry big heavy instruments and heavy equipment. Even though if you've seen how tall I am not fit for that kind of job, so I really don't know why they put me on that role. But this year, since I'm a senior and I'm a leader, they put me on bus captain. Now, I've mentioned being bus captain before. Basically, it's just to make sure everything goes smoothly on the bus and we clean up after people. And yes, that role is pretty simple. It was kind of a lot during San Antonio just because the bus had a lot of people on it. Also, I was running on about like 5 hours of sleep, so it was a little bit different than usual. Anyways, back on topic. We had to ride the buses for about 6-ish hours to San Antonio. Once we got to San Antonio, we didn't just get to relax at the hotels then and there. We actually had to go to rehearsals first, which was at the Piper or Peeper, I don't really know how to say it, I'm sorry. And we had to rehearse outside, and normally this is fine, but the thing is, it was extremely cold and windy when we were there. So imagine you're on a bus, you've basically slept for 6 hours, and then suddenly now you have to rehearse in the freezing cold and play your instrument. So after a little rehearsal, we went back on the buses again and finally went to the hotels. However, it was a little bit postponed because one of the buses actually broke down. So we were a little bit delayed getting to the hotels, but other than that, things went pretty smoothly. So after we got to the hotels, we basically just rested up, slept for a good amount of time, and then the next day was Monday, which is when the trip really starts. So on Monday, we started with going to rehearsal again. This time, it was at the Hero Stadium. Again, it was very cold. After that, we went back to the hotel for a little break time. This is actually when I started working on the script for this video. Mainly, that was just time for us to unwind and rest a bit before we did our prelims performance. So after our resting time was up, we started to get changed into our full uniforms and get ready for the prelims performance. So we got to the Almadome Stadium, which is basically where all the big events happen for UIL competitions. And when we got there, I was feeling okay. I mainly slept a lot on the bus ride, which is what I normally do. But for some reason this time, I was not feeling well. I have a picture here of me actually performing at prelims. I was not feeling well. I wasn't sick or anything. I just did not feel good and I didn't feel right playing. So besides me trying not to die while playing the clarinet and marching, other than that, the performance went pretty smoothly. So I've already kind of explained the process of how competitions work. So if you want more details about that, you should check out my last video. Anyways, after we performed prelims, we got all our stuff and went back on the buses and everything and got back to the hotels. After we got to the hotels, we quickly put our stuff away and then we went into the ballroom. And this is where we found out the results of how we did at prelims. Now, prelims results were already leaked before we even got to the ballroom, and we had found out we had gotten 3rd place for prelims. Now, for me personally, I wasn't too freaked out about getting 3rd for prelims. It is called prelims for a reason. It's before the final performance. Although this did freak out many of the other kids, people were worried that because we placed lower than expected, we were gonna do bad at finals. And since this video is gonna be uploaded way after state competition, I'm pretty sure y'all already know, but getting 3rd place in prelims was kind of a bad omen for things to come for Hebron. Anyways, after finding out the results, we all went back to our rooms and went to sleep as we had to get rested for the final performance for UIL. So on Tuesday, which was the last day, we had to get all of our stuff and our belongings because we were going to leave and check out of the hotels. After we checked out of the hotels, we got back on the buses and back to Hero Stadium to rehearse one more time before we had to do our final performance. So we rehearsed at Hero Stadium and I'd say it was pretty productive. We did get some stuff done and it wasn't as cold this time around. And after our rehearsals, we went on to these yellow buses instead of charter buses because it was It was a whole complicated process. So we were on the yellow buses for a bit. After that, we got back on the regular charter buses and we drove to the Almadome Stadium. So once we were at the Almadome Stadium, we had to wait for a little bit because when we get there, we have to get there early just so we're not late. But our performance time was around 4:45, I think. So we just had some time to kill, so we were just sitting on the buses. Once it was time for us to block up and get ready for the performance, we were all locked in. And I think we were mostly locked in just because since we had gotten third place in prelims, a lot of people wanted to do really well at finals. So we were in the warm-up rooms and we warmed up our basic procedures. Again, I was trying to be careful because I think there was just something wrong. I think I was dehydrated or something. I just was not feeling good. After the warm-up was done, we all blocked up again to go get ready to perform in the stadium. During this time, many kids were nervous, and this was actually one of the first times this year where I actually was a little bit nervous before we performed. Even though I've done this quite a few times already for 3 years by now, this time around, I think because it was finals and it was the last time ever doing UIL, I was just a little bit nervous. Other than that, I was doing pretty well, and when we got onto the field, we performed well, and honestly, I was pretty happy with how I did personally. If you've seen the last video, then you know how I personally feel when it comes to performing. I normally don't really care what we get for placements. I just care about having a good time and feeling that I did well personally when performing. And this moral will become more important as after we performed, you know, it was an emotional moment. Seniors were crying. People were feeling satisfied and happy about themselves. After all of that was over, we got back into block and got back on the buses to put our instruments away and so we could get ready to go to retreat. When we were getting ready to go to retreat, this is where we usually meet a lot of kids from other schools. I remember I got to meet kids from Capel, I met kids from Flower Mound. Speaking of Flower Mound, I actually have a few shout outs to give because these people have been watching my videos and supporting me. Sorry, I don't know all these people like by memory, so I have my phone real quick. People I will shout out is Addison Sexton, Hannah Kraft, Aditi Quirayol, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say that. Hillary UK? Jimmy Lou and Kate Henry. Thank y'all so much for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. I specifically remember when I was lining up at retreat and one of the Flower Mound kids saw me and was like, "Hey, do you make those videos on YouTube about Hebron?" And I was all over here like, "Yes, that is me, thank you." I don't know, I just think it's really cool that at retreat, you just get to meet a lot of new people, and surprisingly, people will recognize you since being part of band is such a big community, and so you're bound to meet tons of people. I love the Hebron Hawkeye. Anyways, back to the subject of state. During area retreat, it was pretty fun. As I said, I met a lot of cool people. Also, we went through these tunnels. It was really hectic. We had to start running and not get lost and not get trampled over. Once we got onto the field in the Almadome Stadium, this is where people started to get nervous again because this is where we would find out the results of state finals. I've mentioned this before, but during these times where we're at retreat and we're waiting to hear our results, this is also another time where band as a community comes close together, as we're all just hoping that we get a good placement and that we feel satisfied with how we did. Okay, I'm not gonna keep stalling. I'm pretty sure if y'all are watching this video, you already know what placement Hebron got. We got third place. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh boo-hoo, Hebron got third place. Oh, this is the downfall of Hebron, you know, we didn't do good. But to be honest, I don't really care that we got third place. Now, I am not trying to shame anybody for feeling disappointed or sad that we got third place. Obviously, band does mean a lot to many people, and I'm not trying to shame y'all for feeling that way about band. But since this is my series, I am going to speak my opinion, and that is the fact that I really could care less if we got third place. If anything, I'm glad we were at least the top 3. We could have been top 5 or even top 10. And I think people are putting so much importance on this placement just because they are constantly comparing to Pinstripe, which I will not lie, that was our peak year since we got first place, and we did have very talented people marching in that show. But at the same time, people should not be stuck in the past thinking, oh, well, we used to be so good and now we're so bad. Because I honestly feel like that's such a backwards way of thinking. Because in the end, it's already done. You can't go back in time and change what happened or what you did or what you could have done better. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to say we should just totally ignore that we got third place. It is something important to acknowledge. Hopefully, getting third place will help the younger students realize that we do need to work hard if we want to get the placement we want. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will try not to die because when I'm uploading and editing this video, I'll probably be on my way to Grand Nats, and Grand Nats will totally kill me. So let's hope that I won't be totally dead after marching season is over. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video.